Good afternoon. It is day one of the cowl and I have just cast on my Salty Days sweater. So the pattern does recommend a backwards loop cast on, but I decided to do long tail cast on because that's what I wanted to do. I've done one row and I thought I'd chat to you while I did the next row because I'm really excited about this project. The group chat at the moment is very big. There's I think almost over 150 people in there, something like that, and I'm not a big group chat person, so I'm doing my best to sort of engage where I can and try and be present where I can. But there's people from all over the world. There's lots of people from Seattle, which is really cool. I think they're all going to try and meet up, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, as I said, oh my god, can you see the magpie flying into the window? This is still an issue, by the way. I spoke about this in a vlog ages ago, but this magpie just flies into our window all day and I don't, like, there's no way to like repel it from doing that. Anyway, I finished that row. I need to actually read the instructions. Hold on. Oh, it's asking me for a make one left purl and I hate make one left purls. It's fine. It's fine. I will listen to kutovakika and I will do what she tells me to do. It means I have to concentrate. But yeah, as I said, big group chats are kind of scary to me, but that's okay. Everyone's sort of sharing their yarny choices and a lot of people actually struggled to get gauge, which was a shame. But I think a lot of people have figured it out now. They've worked it out, which is nice. I did get gauge for this sweater with my gauge swatch, which is nice, but I'm a bit nervous about the sizing. For some reason, I can never trust my gauge swatch, which is crazy. I know. I should just trust the maths and just trust that the pattern is written right and my gauge swatch will, you know, be right. But I always just get a bit nervous that things are going to turn out too small. But A, I'm just going to trust the maths, and B, this is cotton, and so I'm expecting it to grow over time quite a bit and sag out quite a bit with wear. So I think it will be the fit that I want it to be. I do want it to be oversized. I'm knitting the size medium, so oh my god, it's flown away. So hopefully that was a big enough smack to scare it away for a couple of hours. What was I saying? I'm knitting the size medium, so the third size. So hopefully that is right. This yarn is really splitty already, just knitting the first few rows. Oh my god. It's very splitty. But that's okay. I don't mind. I think you can see that there. You can kind of see the way the strand is formed. You can kind of see the way the strand is formed in, like, you know, all of the cotton pieces twisted together. So yeah, I'm going to keep working on the back yoke. I'm not sure when I'll update this vlog next. I think I'm just going to try and update every now and then when I've got something interesting to say. I tend to get carried away, I've noticed, with my vlogging, and I just film anything and everything. Yeah, I'm going to work on this back yoke a little bit more. And I'll catch up with you maybe once the back yoke's done. But I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this vlog and seeing the process. I'm so excited to like finish this vlog and watch it start to finish and see this project form before my eyes. I'm going to stop rambling and I'm going to go knit. Good morning. I finished the back yoke. I finished up the back yoke last night whilst watching the Formula One. Was hoping for a McLaren win, but that's okay. We got a 2-3 on the podium in Italy, by the way. I don't know when this vlog is going to go up. The season might be over by the time I actually finish this sweater. But yeah, the back yoke is done. I don't know what the best way is to show you this because this fabric is so flowy and drapey. It's beautiful, but look at that lace detailing. I am so impressed with this so far. I really did not think I was going to love it that much, but this eco cotton at this gauge, because it's quite a thin yarn, I actually don't know what it suggests. It says to use a 4mm needle, and that gives you 20 stitches by 26 rows. It doesn't give you a yardage at all. Oh no, here, 220 meters in 100 grams. So do that with that information what you will. But I'm using the 5mm needle, and it's just stunning. I have no words. I think it's going to just be perfect for throwing over a bikini or bathers, or just in hot summer days and just needing something simple. So yeah, the back yoke's done. I've cut my yarn, and I'm going to pick up some stitches for the left front now, from here to here, and start working on that section, which is pretty cool. I'm loving seeing everyone's cast-ons. Everyone's posting and sharing their progress, and you know, some people have knit it up really quick, and sorry, and some people have, you know, only just cast on and done, you know, a couple of rows. And it's just cool to see everyone's different versions and the different ways people like to knit and the different fabrics that it's creating. Morgan's is creating this beautiful, like, woolly, thick fabric that just looks stunning. So to see the different textures in the same pattern is so cool. I just think I really feel like this knit along is highlighting just the versatility of knitting and all the things that you can do with it. So yeah, I'm going to pick up those stitches, and it is my goal to be joined in the round by the end of this week. I am also part of the Maxine sweater test knit, which is a pattern by Laura Penrose from Penrose Knits. So I really need to get a move on with that project. So I want to have this joined in the round by the end of the week, which I think is definitely possible. I don't feel like I need to rush this sweater. It just feels like it's just falling off my needles. I'm so happy, and I'm so excited to have this sweater. So I've almost run out of yarn. I haven't yet, but I've come to Spotlight to see if they have a couple more balls. I only bought one ball when I first bought this yarn because I was going to use it for a My Favorite Things knitwear cami. So I definitely need more, but we're going to see if my local Spotlight has some. If they don't, I'm going to have to order some online, which means I'll have to put this project on hold, which I don't really want to do. So we're going to see if they have any in there. Pray for me. Good morning. Last night I joined this sweater in the round, and it worked up really quickly. I finished up the front increases. Sorry about the needles clacking. I'll try and stop that. I finished up the front increases, and I really love the way that the increase leads into a rib stitch just there. I find little finishing details like that, like little tiny nitpicky things, I find them really satisfying, and they make a knit feel a lot more put together, a lot more professional, and just makes it look a lot more special. So yeah, really happy with that. I am not sure how I'm feeling about knitting with cotton. I typically don't knit with cotton. I think I've knit one garment with cotton, and I think that was a cotton blend that I'd frogged from like a store-bought sweater. It was cotton and acrylic. And yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I am liking the fabric it's creating, and I'm liking the look of it. Don't get me wrong, I'm loving this sweater. That's why I've knitted up so fast. But I think I definitely am missing the forgiving nature of wool and wool blends. I think I'm scared with this project that when I block it, for example, I'm up to the cable section, and I'm just scared that my cable stitches are going to be too loose and they're just going to look bad. And I feel like I can't trust the blocking process as much as what I do with wool. So I'm being a little bit nitpicky about like my cables and stuff. But I'm just going to let that go. I mentioned to somebody in a comment yesterday that once you let go of like perfectionist tendencies with knitting, like I know that I started having a lot more fun and felt a lot more adventurous. So I think I just got to get over that and just enjoy the process. So yeah, that's where we're at. I think I'm going to try and finish this cable section today. I am unwell. I think it's just a cold. I took a COVID test this morning and it's negative. So just a cold. So I'm going to chill at home and work on this. I really want to finish the cable section today. And then I think once the cable section is done, I'll then move on to doing the collar and the sleeves. I'm someone who likes to do the sleeves first on a sweater so that I don't get stuck on sleeve island. And then by the time those are done, it's literally just the body is left. So that's kind of my plan. If I can finish this cable section today, that would be great. I think there's just under 20 rows, I think, for this cable section. So I think I can definitely do that. I am trying a new technique with my cabling. I usually use a DPN as a cable needle, but that was getting really fiddly, and because this gauge is so loose and the cotton is so slippy, it was just falling off my DPN. And so I've decided to start trying doing cables without a cable needle. So just slipping the stitches off of my needle and twisting them and then knitting them. And it's working. I'm getting a lot of stress and anxiety about it because I'm so scared about dropping my stitches, but it's working. So, and I think it actually is making me a lot faster with doing the cables. So I think I'll keep doing that, and we'll see how it goes. I'll update you when I have a little bit more progress.
There's a push and there's a pull. There's a new moon and then it's full. The tide will rise and rise until it falls. And there's a rhythm to it all. There's a you and there's a me. There's a pattern in the chaos, a current in the sea. And there are times I wish I had a mountain top to see the rhythm of it all. Every spring leads to a fall, and there's a heart in every home. The young will always wish that they were older, and there's a rhythm to it all. There's a you and there's a me. There's a pattern in the chaos, a current in the sea. And there are times I wish I had a mountain top to see the rhythm of it all.
Hello, it's been a couple of days. I have been unwell, and this is hopefully the last day of my cold, but I've lost my voice and I have a cough. So I'm really sorry if I sound horrible, but I worked up a large portion of the body, and I said I was going to finish the cable section and then do the collar and sleeves, but I ended up wanting to finish the ball of yarn I was working on, so I carried all the way on until I ran out of yarn, which you can see here. And I did the collar, And I did a double folded collar. A lot of us were talking in the chat about whether or not to do this double folded situation, because some people didn't want it to be so chunky as it is in the pattern. I still wanted the look of a double folded collar, but I still wanted it to have the summery vibes. So I decided to do a lot thinner collar, and then just bound that down. I'll link the tutorial I used down in the description of how I did this, but I did a pearl row in the middle as well, just because I like the way that looks, and I like the way that it makes the knitting fold down in half. It doesn't leave like any bulkiness, in my opinion. And then I worked up the sleeve. Now I picked up stitches and just incidentally ended up picking up stitches for the 3XL, which is the next stitch count above the medium. The small, medium, large, extra large, 2XL, they're all the same stitch counts for the sleeve, which is a problem, and we've talked about it a lot in the chat. That's not very size inclusive, at least in my opinion. I think it's written that way because it's ribbing, so the intention is for it to stretch, so I guess there was no need to include, you know, different stitch counts for the sleeve. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But I have knit this completely to pattern, and the sleeve is really short. I'm sure you can see that there. According to the pattern, I need to start the ribbing now. I'm just going to dump this on the floor. According to the pattern, I need to start the ribbing for the cuff now. And I'm not really sure if I want to do that yet. I know this top part will block out and stretch, which is, I've pulled it to hopefully where it's going to block, but I know this ribbing part is going to block out and make this a lot shorter. And I'm someone who likes my sleeves to end here, because I like them to cover my hands. And so to start the cuff now, it just seems a bit not ideal. So I'm not sure. I'm thinking I might do a bit more of this 1x2 rib pattern just here, do a couple inch, maybe an inch, 2 inches, and then do the cuff ribbing. I think that will look fine. I actually think it will look nice having that the two ribbing sections. But yeah, I was just expecting a lot more of an oversized sleeve. Everyone's been talking in the chat about this and about which size for the sleeve I should pick up, etc, etc. And so when I picked up stitches for the 3XL, I thought, well, that's great. It means I'll get a more oversized sleeve. But this ribbing just cinches in so much, and I don't know really how much it's going to block out. It's hard to know. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm currently just wearing like a tank underneath, and I think the cables look great, and the eyelets look beautiful. I'm really, really happy with how this looks. But yeah, I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with this sleeve. I think I will knit maybe an inch more of ribbing, and then I will do the cuff ribbing. Yeah, and we'll just see how that comes out. With regards to the body, my cable's all twisty, so I need to put it in some hot water to straighten it out. But I'm liking the length it's at. I think I have a 1x2 rib section to go, which is about this long, and then another eyelet row, and then the body ribbing to match the neckline and the cuffs. So I'm happy with how long that's going to be. I don't think I'm going to size down my needle as much as the pattern suggests. I followed, oh no, I didn't follow the instructions for the collar. In the pattern, she sizes down 2 needle sizes, so she goes from a 5mm to a 3mm for the neckline, and I don't have a 3mm needle, so I went down from a 5 to a 3.5, and I'm really happy with how that's come out. It looks really neat. It's just twisted rib, but I don't think I'm going to size down as much for the body ribbing. I think maybe I'll go down to a 4 and just see how that looks, because I don't want to look like a balloon here. I've said many times I don't like when ribbing cinches in on the body of a sweater. I don't find that particularly flattering for my body. I like when they go straight. So I might go down to a 4mm needle for the body twisted rib and just see how that comes out and see if it's messy or if it complements the pattern, and we'll just go from there. But I think, yeah, my next step is to knit maybe 1 inch to 2 inches more of this 1x2 ribbing and have this kind of be as like a mid-arm detail rather than a pre-cuff detail, because really in my head it should be down here, this detail here. But I'm not bothered, I'm not fussed. I think it will block out quite a bit anyway. I think blocking will change this sweater a lot. You know, the rib will stretch out, the cables will relax, everything will just sort of drop. And it's cotton, so it will drop over time. So I don't want to take this too far and end up having, you know, a sweater down here, which I wouldn't mind. I don't mind having long sleeves, but yeah, that's the update. Hopefully my voice comes back in the next couple of days so I can do some more talking clips. I felt like I was just knitting a lot on this sweater but not being able to update you because I literally sounded like hell on earth. So hopefully I feel a bit better soon. But yeah, this is the update.
Golden days drifting far away, light is leaving town. Colors fade, but I'm thinking we stay just for a little while. Let's lose track of time. Darling, stay for a little longer while I hold your time. We'll wait, so just rest your head upon my shoulder. Nothing in our way. It's colder, but the day's not over yet. Summer nights, watch them go by as we fight off the cold. Holding you tight, you know just what I'm thinking. I don't want this moment to go. No, I don't want this moment to go. Let's lose track of time. Darling, stay for a little longer while I hold your time. We'll wait, so just rest your head upon my shoulder. Nothing in our way. It's colder, but the day's not over yet.
So I am binding off my second sleeve, which is really exciting. And I thought whilst I do that, I might talk you through my sleeve modifications. Because as you would have seen the other day, when I tried it on, the sleeves were super short. As I said, I knit them completely to pattern. The pattern suggests that after the last decrease, you do 9 rows of just the ribbing with no decreases. And I definitely think that I should have done more than that. I definitely think I should have tried on the sweater before doing the lace chart on the arm, and then I would have known that I needed to knit the ribbing a lot longer. But I didn't think about it. I was just trusting the pattern. I was trusting the maths, which is something that I don't usually tend to do with patterns. I don't know why I don't trust designers. Probably because things like this happen. But, you know, I'm using a very different fibre than is suggested in the pattern. You know, everyone's using a very woolly fibre in the cowl as well. I don't know if anyone else is using like 100% cotton or a cotton acrylic blend like I am. So everyone's is sort of blocking out in length, whereas mine's only blocking widthwise and doesn't block in length at all. So what I ended up doing after I last spoke to you was I knit some more ribbing after the lace chart, and then I actually did another eyelet section, which you can see here. So that's the extra ribbing that I knit, and then I did another eyelet section, and then I did the cuff ribbing. And I actually really like how this has come out. I think it looks great. I think it just adds, A, adds length, but then B, adds just like a little bit of extra extra interest, you know. I think it makes the sleeve look a little bit more detailed, which I like. Now with the cuff ribbing, I knit it a lot shorter than the pattern suggests. I did go down to the 3.5mm needle, the same as the neckline ribbing, which I'm happy with. It's really neat, but I did knit it a lot shorter because I didn't want to have a super long cuff on this sweater. I think that would not make it look very summery or spring-like. So I just did a shorter cuff. I did 10 rows on the cuff ribbing. I'm not sure how many centimeters it should suggest in the pattern. But yeah, I think those are all my sleeve mods, besides obviously going up a couple sizes in order to get the next stitch count up for the sleeve. But that happened by accident, and I'm glad that it did. It was just like naturally, I was just naturally picking up that amount of stitches. I think if I was to pick up less stitches, it would have cinched the shoulder in, which I'm not a fan of. So yeah, those are all the modifications I made on the sleeve accidentally. But as I said, I'm binding off now. I'm doing tubular bind off for the cuffs, which looks fantastic in this cotton, by the way. I'll show you the first one. So this is the first sleeve. As you can see, this is where I blocked it. I forgot to say I did a seam block of the arm ribbing. I'll try not to drop these stitches, but you can see the difference between the two. So this is unblocked. You can see it's very cinchy, very tube-like. This is blocked, steam blocked. So yeah, a lot neater, but also just a little bit stretched out. Not a lot, but a little bit. I'm thinking I might actually wet block this sweater and then pin it to my mats, because I really want the ribbing to stretch out on the arm. I really don't want this tight situation going on. But yeah, so I did the lace row, did more ribbing, did the eyelet row, and then this is the tubular. Let me make sure you can see that, cover my face. That's the tubular bind off. I think it looks fantastic, and the twisted rib looks great too. I'm really, really happy with how that's all ended up coming out on the sleeve. I'd love to have this sweater finished this week. I've got a lot of studying to do this week. So I'm really, really knitting on this in the afternoons and evenings this week. But I'd love to have it done and blocked by the end of the week, and then I can take some pictures next week of this all finished and dry, which is kind of crazy. That's going to be like a 2-week workup of this sweater, which is insane to me. But honestly, not surprised, because I was really, really excited about casting this on, and I've just loved working on it. When I wake up in the morning, this is really all I want to knit on. I thought last night when I was sitting on the couch, oh, I kind of want to knit on something else, and then I looked at all my WIPs and I was like, actually, none of that is exciting me right now. I really just want to knit on my Salty Days. So I really enjoyed this cowl and really enjoyed knitting up this pattern. I will give all my final thoughts on the pattern once this sweater is done and dry. But yeah, I'm going to finish binding off, and then it's just the body left to go. I know quite a few people actually have already finished the body, and they were saying that the ribbing is just a slog because, you know, you've done all of this lace work and then suddenly you're just doing ribbing for days. So we'll see how long that takes. But I reckon I could have the body done tomorrow so that I can block this before the weekend comes around. But yes, I'm going to finish binding off, and I will catch up with you guys later. Salty Days update for you. Let me just pop it on. All right, here it is. These are the sleeves. As you can see, still very short. This is the sleeve that I blocked, steam blocked, just the ribbing portion. You can see it's a little bit longer than this one, which is quite short. I will share all my thoughts on the pattern once this sweater is done, but I finished the 1x2 ribbing on the body just this morning. So I have an eyelet row left to do and then the body ribbing, which I think I'm just going to do 8 rows of, like I did for the collar and the cuffs, because this is almost at a length where I'm like happy with it. I don't want it to be too much longer than this. This is kind of where I tend to knit my sweaters to. I don't like it being too long unless it's particularly oversized. I think it's this eyelet row or something. Something is pulling on the back and it's really annoying me actually. And I don't want this sweater to be one that I don't wear because it's overstimulating. But anyway, it's fine. The cotton is really soft. As you can see, I'm really pulling the sleeves to where I want them to be. This is where I want the sweater to be, the sleeve. Just sensory wise, because if I relax this and put it where it's supposed to be, that, no ma'am, no ma'am, not for me. Having my wrists out whilst wearing a jumper, I don't like it. So that's where I want it to be. But alas, it is not. So I've just been pulling and pulling and pulling. But I think blocking should help a little bit. And we'll just see. I'm just gonna finish it, block it, and just see what happens. I do like it. I do. But I just wish these sleeves were different. I know some people are doing different things with the sleeves just because of the way that it's come out. I kind of wish I did this section in stockinette. I don't think it particularly needs to be in rib, but that's the way the pattern is designed and I was just following the instructions. Trying to be a good knitter for once and just do what the pattern says. But as I said, eyelet row left to do and then we're up to the body ribbing. I'll do 8 rows of body ribbing and then I'll do tubular bind off, block it, and then we'll be done.
Follow me to my favorite tree. Well, I'm offering a steady hand. I could be your security. There's no guarantee on anything.
My Salty Days sweater is done. I took this off of the blocking mats this morning and it was a little bit damp around the collar, but I figured if I wear it, my body heat will dry it, I'm sure. So it's done. I now have a new sweater in my wardrobe, which I'm so happy and excited about. I am in a different room to what I normally am in for when I talk about my knitting. This is my office. And the reason I'm up here is because my boyfriend just moved all of his like desk and PC and everything, which is usually behind me, to Queensland where he's living at the moment. So I figured I might come up to this room and see what the lighting's like, see what the audio is like. Maybe I'll podcast up here next time. Literally the only furniture in here is my desk and my computer. So it might be a bit echoey, I don't really know, but that's where I am. And I wanted to talk through all of my final thoughts and opinions and everything about this sweater. Overall, I really enjoyed the process. I found it really challenging to try lace and mix that with cables and ribbing, and I feel like I learnt a lot about who I am as a knitter, also my knitting style, and then what I like and don't like in a knit sweater. So I'll start by talking about what went well. I think my pairing of my yarn and the pattern and the needle size was perfect. As a reminder, because this vlog I think is quite long, this is Anette Erikson Eco Cotton in the color white. And I think it was the perfect choice for this sweater. I wanted it to be a spring summer transitional piece, something I could layer over the top of like a tank like I am today, or like a bikini or something like that in the summer. And I think I really achieved that. And I think that's really down to the cotton that I chose and also the needle size, because it was quite a loose gauge. So I'm really, really happy with that. A technique that I learnt, well, maybe not a technique, but something I learnt is how to read my lace knitting. I made a couple of mistakes, the infamous chart C, which I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, made quite a few mistakes, and I learnt how to read my lace when I dropped stitches or when I needed to tink back and fix mistakes. And that was something that I'm really proud of myself for learning. It has given me a lot more confidence to do more lace knitting in the future, because I think I do get very scared about dropping stitches in any instance, but with lace I felt really scared about it because I was worried I wouldn't be able to tell where my yarn overs were. But I learned how to do that, and I learned how to read that and how to pick those things back up again without ruining the pattern or having to frog back. And so I'm really, really happy with that. And I also learned how to cable without a cable needle. I think I talked about this a little bit. I was finding it quite tedious to do this with my usual technique, which is using a DPN, because it's a metal DPN, so I found it quite slippy and I found all my stitches were just falling off the needle anyway. So I started practicing cabling without a cable needle, and I've actually carried that forward into another knit project that I'm working on at the moment, which you'll see in my next podcast, I'm sure. But yeah, really proud of myself for learning that technique. As I said, I'm scared always of dropping stitches and making ladders in my knitting and not being able to fix it. So it was a bit scary at first, but now that I've learnt the technique, I feel like a lot more confident, and I feel like my cable work might be a little bit faster now too. Okay, let's talk about what I found challenging about this sweater. So the cable section that I was just talking about felt like it went on forever and ever. Once you've done, you've joined in the round basically, and you've done all these eyelet and lace rows that felt like they went really quickly, and then suddenly you're doing this cable round that just felt like it went on for a million years. And I was so happy to have it done, especially because once you join in the round, there's like 200 and something stitches on your needle, and you're going round and round and round and doing these cables. It just felt like it went forever, but it's fine because it doesn't go for too long. I think there's 1, 2, 4 cable repeats. So, you've got knit rows in there anyway, so it was okay. But it was just annoying at the time. Now, the infamous chart C, without talking about the pattern too much, chart C was for this lace diamond section here on the body. And basically, the pattern is not very clearly written. The instructions are written in a way where it tells you to do one thing and then to continue working the chart, where it should really tell you to do that thing and then
skip the first few stitches in the chart. I know Kopy Dolls talked about this in their vlogs of their versions of these sweaters, so go check those out as well if you want to see a bit more detail about actually the process of knitting up chart C row 5. But I'll also put down a correction in the comments. I'll pin a comment that has the correction for chart C row 5. If you are going to knit this sweater, or you're currently knitting this sweater and you're getting to that stage, check out that correction down in the comments, because yeah, I made the mistake and had to frog back, and it was quite annoying. And I know that a lot of people did the same thing. It's not just me, the pattern is written I guess incorrectly, or just not very clearly. I guess along with that, I also found it really challenging to trust the pattern maths, especially when it came to the sleeves. As you can see, the sleeves are still very tight, and we'll talk about the fit in a second. But I have this, I guess, ongoing problem where I find it really difficult to trust pattern designers and trust their maths based on my gauge. Like, I may get gauge, but I think often my gauge is different at different points, you know, which is very common. You know, it's different on the sleeves versus the back yoke and the body. And that's very much a me problem, absolutely. But it means I find myself, I guess, a bit nervous to go on to the next stage of a pattern and be able to trust that it's going to be the size that it's advertised as. I am not a pattern designer. I've never even thought about designing any patterns or anything like that, so I don't have a lot of knowledge about like pattern maths and grading and things like that, so I can't comment on any of that, and I cannot pass judgment in any way, because it sounds like a nightmare from what I've heard, having to grade patterns. But as a knitter, I want to be able to feel like I can trust the pattern and get the size that is advertised. Yes, with regards to fit as well, blocking didn't really change this sweater much. I think that's partially because of my yarn, which I'll talk about in a second. But again, like, it's not, like, my sleeve circumference is not the size that was advertised in the pattern. And so yeah, I think I still have a little bit of mistrust with regards to pattern sizing. And I think I'll just continue to size up as much as I can with patterns, without making something too oversized. I really wanted to follow the pattern to a T and trust the pattern maths with this one, because it is part of the knit along. And so I picked the size that was appropriate for my bust measurement, when really I think I should have gone up maybe 1 or 2 sizes. So notes on the pattern, I've already kind of alluded to it, but I am not a huge fan of the way this pattern was written. I don't want to be overly negative. As I said, I'm not a pattern designer. I've never graded something. I've never tried to design something. So I don't have a full understanding of all of the challenges that come with that, and I'm sure it's incredibly difficult. But the way Kutovakika has written this pattern, I don't think is for me. And I think it's turned me off quite a few of her other patterns as well, because if they're written the same way, I don't really have any interest in knitting it up. I think the pattern could be majorly simplified and a lot less wordy. 99% of the time, the pattern makes sense and I can follow it, and you just have to literally read it word for word and make sure you're following the instruction word for word. But sometimes you don't want to have to do that. Sometimes you want to see an instruction and just be like, okay, cool, I'm going to repeat that 17 times now, rather than having a lot of the lines written out for you when they don't need to be. And I know it's not just me. Again, the Kopy Dolls talked about this in their vlogs as well, that there are mistakes in this pattern. Some of the stitch counts are wrong. The way some things are written are just incorrect, or I don't know if it's language barrier or something, translation, I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan with how this pattern was written, but I made a sweater out of it. So something I did notice that I did talk to Morgan and a couple of other people in the Cal about was the difference in the cable section compared to the pattern photos. I think you can kind of see here, after my last cable repeat, you can see there's like quite a bit of knitting here between the cable repeat and the eyelet row. Whereas in the sample photos, that doesn't exist. There is, the eyelet starts here, straight after the last cable interval. It's not a problem. It's not an issue. I did notice it significantly though when I tried this sweater on for the first time when I had the body stitches. I was about here, I posted on my Instagram, and it was just really glaringly obvious to me, and I was like, why is it different from the sample? And some other people did agree with me that there's a couple extra rows. I think there's about three rows of knitting before the eyelet section that's not included in the sample photos, but that's just a nitpicky thing that I noticed. It's not a big deal, as I said, but yeah, just something that I observed. I've talked about the sleeves a lot. As I said, they're very tight. Blocking did not save my sleeves. I blocked this so aggressively, as you would have seen, and it's just not where I'd want it to be. Like that, so much better. But then I sacrifice length, which is a whole nother issue. I just think the sizing for these sleeves could have been so much more improved in the pattern. Again, I think it is because I chose a cotton that's not a suggested yarn for this pattern. Everyone's using like a wool, wool mohair, that kind of thing, which grows a lot, both in length and width. But you know, if I'm knitting up a gauge swatch and I've blocked the gauge swatch and it matches the gauge in the pattern, I should get a sleeve that fits the same as everybody else's. You know what I mean? I don't quite understand why it's wrong and why it's so short and so tight. So if you're going to knit this pattern up, size up on the sleeves is my suggestion, or just use the recommended yarn to get the fit that you want. This has come out more like something I would consider a top rather than a sweater. And that's how I'll be styling it in the summer. I'll be styling it as a top. It's not a sweater or a jumper in my eyes, just because of the way these sleeves fit me. Now, Addie from Knits by AJ mentioned in her podcast that what you could do is omit the decreases from this ribbing section and just knit that straight, and then put the decreases, I guess, further down, lower in the ribbing. Or try and incorporate it into this lace work. And I thought that was a great idea. And if she had brought out that podcast before I knit up the sleeves, that's probably what I would have done. But yeah, can't go back now, but that's an option. If you are finding the sleeves on your Salty Days are too tight, you could always just omit the decreases here and then decrease lower down. Might give you a bit of a different fitting sleeve, but at least it might be a little bit more oversized. So my changes that I made based on what was recommended in the pattern was particularly to do with the ribbing. For the collar and the cuff ribbing, I only went down 1.5 millimeters in needle size. So I went from a 5 millimeter to a 3.5 millimeter needle. And I think that was perfect for the collar and cuff. The cuffs don't cinch in at all, which is what I prefer. I don't like when cuffs cinch in and gives you like a weird balloon situation. And the collar as well is not too tight. It sits where I would want it to. And I think that is due to the needle size that I chose. I think if I went down any more to a 3 millimeter, it would be too tight. So, and then for the body ribbing, as I said the other day, I don't like when sweaters make you look kind of like a mushroom. So I went down to a 4 millimeter. I thought 3.5 might be a little bit too cinchy, in addition to the Italian bind off. I don't think you're actually able to see it there, or maybe a little bit, but I did a 4 millimeter needle, and the twisted rib still looks really good with the 4 millimeter, and it doesn't cinch in too tight either. So I'm really happy with those changes. Obviously knit the sleeves longer by adding extra ribbing and an extra eyelet section, which was definitely needed because I don't know if you can tell, I'm still pulling these sleeves to where I want them to be. I know this cotton will hopefully grow over time, so the sleeves should hopefully drop a little bit. But I think without those extra sections, I definitely think these sleeves would be sitting like here, even with pulling. So I'm glad that I made that change as well to make the sleeves a little bit longer. In addition to going down fewer needle sizes on the ribbing, I also knit all the ribbing a lot shorter. The cuffs I did 10 rows, the collar I did 16 rows and folded it down, which gave me 8 rows height. And then on the body I did 10 rows as well to match the cuffs. So I think if I was to knit this sweater again, I would pick a different yarn. I think this sweater is beautiful in a cotton yarn. I just don't think the pattern is designed to be in a cotton yarn, to be in a yarn that isn't so forgiving and isn't going to grow. I think maybe if I was going to do another all over lace cotton sweater, I would definitely pick a different pattern. So if I was to knit this again, I would pick a woolly yarn that I know is going to bloom and grow with blocking, so that I get the sleeve length that's suggested and the oversized fit that I would want out of a sweater. I think I'd also size up 1 or 2 more sizes, as I said, to get just a bigger, looser fit that I would personally find more wearable. I'm super happy with the yarn. It's really soft, it's not drying, it's quite buttery. My fingers were getting a little bit dry at one point. I think it was when I was doing this chart, or maybe the 1x2 rib at the bottom here, I'm not sure. But it's so soft. It's not scratchy, it's not like rough on my skin. It's perfect, I think. I do want to knit up another cotton project in this yarn, I think. It's really affordable, it's really accessible, you can just get it at Spotlight, and really easy and nice to knit with. So, highly recommend. I think my favorite part of knitting this sweater overall was definitely doing the eyelet sections and trying lace. I have never done a big lace project before, and I think it just gave me a lot more confidence, and I feel more capable and competent when it comes to lace now, which makes me really happy. So I'm excited to try more lace projects in the future. Little update on the knit along, it is still going on. The knit along finishes on November 30th, and there are heaps of people still going on their sweaters, and there's plenty of time between now and then to cast on and get your Salty Days sweater on the needles and done, and I really hope that you get involved. If you are knitting up the Salty Days sweater at the moment, remember to share your progress pictures over on Instagram with the hashtags Salty Days Sweater and Salty Days Cal, so that Morgan and I can see it and share it and send you all the love on your WIP. There is going to be another knit along Zoom knit and chat coming up. Morgan and I just need to decide on what day and what time we're going to do it. If you want to be up to date with all of that information and be added to the Cal group chat, head over to my Instagram or Morgan's Instagram. It'll all be linked below for all the details on how to get involved. Otherwise, that's it for this vlog. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. It's so cool for me to see the project from start to finish, from cast on to cast off, and I'm so happy to have this sweater in my wardrobe now. And I hope it's inspired you to maybe cast on your own Salty Days sweater. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you're safe and well wherever you are, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Okay, I'll give you one last look at this sweater before I go. Bye.